back again, but he was never here in the first place.
Eels is the name of an American alt-rock band or project led by Mark Everett, whose stage name is E. So there's been quite a large turnover of members, apart from E, for recording and touring. Sometimes it's just officially just him. Sometimes it includes other people. He released 2 albums as E, in 1992 and 1993, and in 1996 the first Eels album was released, and the album Eels Time was the 15th Eels album, released in 2024.
Hi, my name's Dan. This is a review of Electro-Shock Blues, which is an album by Eels. It was their second studio album and was released in 1998. And it's not my first time listening to it. In fact, I know it reasonably well. I've played it a few times. I have a copy. So I got into Eels about the sort of time that they were contemporary. So this was 1998. I think I'd heard their first album or bits of their first album and had encountered them through watching MTV. So this was a period in time when I was in a house with a housemate, and the two of us enjoyed watching bits of the more alternative ends of MTV. At that point, they had several channels. And we discovered all sorts of interesting things during that time. And one of them was Eels, and we shared a liking for them. So there's a context for this album. I'm not a great fan of the idea that there are some albums where you have to understand the context to be able to enjoy them. I think that this is an album where understanding the context isn't required to enjoy the album, but actually it does give a perspective on the album that is informative and useful. So the context here is it's about who's the main guy in Eels, and his life was not going well. His sister Elizabeth had first been institutionalized, and then she took her own life. And also his mother died from terminal lung cancer, and his father had died several years earlier of a heart attack. So he was now the last remaining member of his family. And the songs on the album are almost all about his family. Many of them are about Elizabeth's experiences. Some are about his mother. One is about his father, and then some are about his own experiences of living through all this. And it finishes surprisingly optimistically with the track "P.S. You Rock My World," which is it's a bit of a turnaround from the feel of the rest of the album, because otherwise it's pretty bleak. And knowing the context actually makes it more bleak, but it also makes it more understandable, and you kind of comprehend more of what's going on in here. It's been described as alt rock, but I don't have any reason to disagree with that. In fact, I think I possibly first came across the term alternative rock in the context of Eels. So possibly I think of them as being part of the definition of alt rock, but that's changed in my mind. At times, I would say slowcore was a reasonable description here, because it does tend to go fairly slowly about stuff. And it goes from large, dirty, junkyardy stuff in an almost Tom Waits kind of way to very light instrumentally, but not light-hearted. So Electro-Shock Blues, which I'm going to put as the playing out track, is very empty and very kind of ethereal as a result. He's got quite an eclectic approach to instruments and sounds. There's actually quite a lot of guest instrumentalists on this album. There are a lot of different instruments on the list of what's been used here. When I first encountered Eels, I was very taken with their take on what sounds to use, and just picking anything they felt like. Didn't feel constrained by the norms of rock music, and I that was refreshing. I think now I'm more used to it, and I think it's been more of a thing since as well. There's a tendency to use some kind of sustained sounds like organs and violin. There's a chamberlin in here, various different kinds of keyboards, a banjo apparently somewhere. Sometimes there's kind of more wheezy and sounds. There's some junky sounds. There's kind of a lo-fi feel to it. Not that it's recorded lo-fi, but or even played lo-fi at all, but it's kind of a feel of instruments that are themselves potentially lo-fi, or pianos that are kind of old and creaky and falling apart almost. And then he uses quite a lot of music box twinkly kind of stuff, which is again an unusual sound in the context. It seems to be one of his favourite go-to kind of sounds. So at this point, Eels was just E and a guy called Butch on the drums. And as I said, there's a lot of guests with a lot of different musicians. This includes T-Bone Burnett and Grant Lee Phillips, who was in Grant Lee Buffalo. Musically, it's measured and slow and evocative. It suits the bitter darkness and the bleakness of the lyrics really well. He croaks his way through. He's got a great voice for being depressed, and he's got a natural gravel to the way that he sings, and just a gravitas to how it comes across. So overall, is well done, is well put together. I like it. I'm not sure enjoy is quite the right word. It's a bit more like when you go see, a film that's going to win an Oscar, and it's not necessarily a fun film. It could be kind of, have a bit of darkness to this, but this is an album that's got quite a lot of darkness to it. But it's a good album. It's a strong album, definitely, I would say. So, which is why I'm giving it a good score. But as always, this is my opinion, and I would be very interested in knowing what your opinion of the album is. So please, will you leave me a comment, anything at all about this album? But that's it from me for now.
Feeling scared today.